But
So I'm gonna walk through the PowerPoint, but I'm not gonna put a big. You're gonna see my whole computer and everything because I just want to use that as a guide because I'd rather you guys ask me questions so that I'm actually answering the things that you want to do. And so if we get through it all, great. If we don't, like Dan said, we can schedule another time. But it shouldn't. It really shouldn't take too long. To start out with the actual process of counseling for me, and let me just say, there are many counselors, that work for Hattie, and I'm sure everybody does things differently. So what I'm going to tell you is what I do. I'm not prescribing this. This is just to give you an idea of how I do it because I know when you get into something brand new, you want to say, you want to at least have some sort of framework, and so that's what I'm trying to do is just more of a framework. So one of the first things I like to do is set expectations because if you don't, then you run into trouble later on. So I give a letter to the student and the parent first thing after they've decided to work with me, lining out the expectations, like meeting attendance, reminders, being late, rescheduling, and priorities. The way I do it is I tell students I'll give you 15 minutes, and if I'm sitting there for 15 minutes and you don't show up, then I might have another student that starts at the top of the hour, so I can't wait for you. Or if you get a hold of me, then we're going to have a shorter session because we don't have that time. But what I usually do is if I don't see somebody like within the first 5 minutes, I go, oh, well, they could be running late. It's not a problem. But by 10 minutes, I text them. And then oftentimes I go, oh, I forgot. And they'll run to the computer or, oh, I forgot I had a game today and I'm not home and we have to reschedule. But I tell them that I do that for them for like the first 6 months they're with me. And after that, they have to have gotten it together. And I'll let their parents know to help remind them. But I tell them, you need to set an alarm on your phone. I mean, there's no excuse these days with phones. They all have them and they can all put in a notification. But if that happens and we reschedule, when I do my notes at the end, I will let the parent know that this is a reschedule meeting because your son or daughter didn't show up the first time and I didn't get any information about them not being able to make it. But I'm very, very flexible with rescheduling. If somebody tells me, oh, something came up, I have to, they're having an event at school or, I have a game or whatever it might be. I'm very flexible to reschedule as long as you let me know in advance. The thing I don't like is sitting at my computer, having prepared for, the half an hour before and then nothing happens. And that gets annoying. So I put that in my original letter. I talk about assignments that I might give them a small assignment, but that my assignments never take precedence over their high school assignments because that's the most important. Like what I'm teaching them, we can learn on any day. But I usually, if I give them anything, it's a smaller thing and they've got an entire month to do it. So it's usually not a problem. Um, so, and then I go over the structure of our meetings, which is usually I do at the very beginning of the meeting, we go over their grades and their classes because to me, the most important thing is to know how they're doing in that class. And if their grades are going down to catch it right away. What do we need to do? Have you talked to your teacher? Do you have peer tutoring at school? If the peer tutoring isn't working, have you talked to your teacher? And if it goes beyond that, do you want to talk to, look at Hattie tutoring and see, if it's something specific that you need. So I want to catch that immediately. So that's the first thing we talk about every single time. And then I usually have a lesson plan for that day, which I'll go into a little bit later. So we'll be talking about, the classes and the grades. Then it'll be talking about anything that was left from the last time that was going on. And then it'll be the lesson plan. Or if the student has something they need to talk about or ask you about, I'll put that first. And I tell them, let me know if there's something you want to cover first, because I want to have enough time for that. So we'll do that first. Going back here, camera, a lot of kids like to leave their camera off, but you got to lay that out at the beginning. Camera's on or we don't work. Because you can't really engage and teach when you can't see the person. When you're doing a one-on-one, you need to, especially with, at least for me, I can't say this for everybody, but I like to see how they're reacting to what I'm saying because I have students who have been very anxious, and sometimes I'll say something and I can see right away that I made them anxious, and I'm like, okay, I don't mean you have to do this today. This is something we will build up to, and this is something I'm going to teach you so you don't have to worry about it because different personalities, and I need to know how they're reacting to what I'm saying. Otherwise it can be very difficult. And you have some students that are super outgoing and got everything together, and you've got other students who are a little more timid and unsure. And so for me, camera is really important. And I pay attention to their personality, their strengths and areas that they need to get support on. if they're timid or don't want to speak up to teachers, different things. So we do practicing and stuff like that. I ask them to come prepared and to be focused. I've had some students that just can't focus. I can tell that they've got, the window that we're working on, and they've got another screen up, and they've got their phone. It's like, I can't teach you like this, so I've had to contact parents and say, look, this is what's happening. Can you help me with this? I can't get information across to them like this. So it's different for each student.